I'm on the way home. I hope y'all had a great day today. I had a good day at work today. I felt like went kind of slow, but it sped up towards the end. So, I want to talk about David, and his wife, his first wife, because earlier I got an email message in reference to a certain situation, and they referenced David and his wife. But again, what we discussed, like Saul was jealous. He was jealous of his son-in-law. He was jealous of his own kin. Like, golly, man. This would have been his son-in-law. He was so jealous. Like, I mean, and then I'm like, a lot of in-laws are like that. They are freaking jealous of the wife. They are jealous of the husband. They would watch their kids go down the aisle. Like, he told them, like, okay, you can have my oldest daughter. And David felt like he wasn't worthy. Like, nah. And then the youngest one liked him, and then when it got word, he was like, I think he told David that he had to go. Now, get this, y'all. In order for him to prove himself or prove his love, I have to sit down and really, really read it. But I know in one consensus of it, he had to go and kill like 300 men, okay? And he had to take their foreskins back to the king. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Are you telling me that, these guys weren't, what do they call it? When they weren't circumcised. So he took he killed them and took the skin off their private parts, man. And he came back. I'm like, this is some scandalous stuff. Like, for real. Like, how many women can say, yes, for my hand in marriage, my husband had to kill 300 something odd men and take their foreskins. I mean, he came back with a sack of meat. Like, okay, let me get my wife. I'm like, dang, so I'm reading this. So anyway, so what I learned from David and his wife, and she, like I said in the last video, and I can't wait when I go home and do some more Bible study, is that her father wanted to kill David. He didn't even want David to be king. He didn't even want him to have that right because he married his daughter. So that was the reason he was so vindictive, and he was just so, like, Saul just, man, he was a narc. He was narcissistic at his best. You love and hate the man at the same time. You hate that he killed a giant. You can't stand him, but you love him. You don't want him too far, but you want him dead. How's it going? And I'm like, this dude was narcissistic, like, for real. And so he told him, first of all, you gave him, you said you could have my oldest daughter. He refused that. And the youngest daughter would kind of like them. And then they two connected. He like, okay, you want her. He just so upset. And then when they got married, he still wanted to kill his son-in-law. And so his wife, she loved him. She helped him escape. And then she kind of lied, like, Dad, I mean, you were the one who gave me him. You knew he was a soldier. You knew he was a rough rider. I mean, come on now. I mean, he put the knife up to me. So what was I supposed to? She lied, And so, despite of that, what he did, I'll get you, David. I know what I'll do. I'll take my daughter and have her to marry another. Man, David slayed him down and came back for his wife, like, this is my wife. And I'm going to tell you something. That's how in-laws are. And there are some in-laws out here that's just like Saul. I'm going to tell you this, and I'm not bringing up the past or whatever like that. I'm not bringing up the past or whatever like that, but I really do believe that my father-in-law knew the one thing that would really, really get to me is getting my husband to divorce me. That's sometimes, y'all, your in-laws will hate your freaking guts. In order to get to you, they would try to turn their spouse against you. And in this case, David's wife didn't have no choice in it. She had to go to her father, what he said to do. So she was forced into this marriage. She had to go about it. So the thing is that and I want y'all to really get this, because in that story I was just like, whoa. You know, and you even saw them too, like arguing, like when David was dancing, and evidently what he had on was a little revealing to the slave girls. His wife was like, look at him out there showing half of his tail, and she went off on her husband like, you sitting up here looking a fool. And he rebuked her. And like I said, because of that, she was barren. She didn't have any children by David. But she was in love with him, and one going against her father to help her husband. What does that say? Those in marriages, this is your husband, your wife. You need to be sided with them versus your mama and your daddy. Because the hatred and the jealousy that that he had out for David was just crazy, man. Was crazy. He didn't want him to be king. He just was like, you know what? He got away. I know what I'll do. I'll take what he loves, and I'll go ahead and make sure you my daughter. I'll make sure you married to another man. Now you can't. Now what you gonna do? How many in-laws do that? How many in-laws do that? Hey, how's it going? I wish I could read that when I'm driving. But y'all, I was sitting up here, and I was reading this, and I said, wait a minute, foreskins. Wait. All of them dudes circumcised them and came back with the skins to show proof. I'm like, what type of man would do such a thing? King David, he didn't care. Give me my wife. I was like, well, dad, going, you know, some women would be, and I thought about it while I was sitting there. Some women would be like, my husband waited a whole 24 hours out in the rain. My husband walked 2 miles. My husband did this. How many people going to say, well, my husband slaughtered 300 people, cut off their meat, and then brought it to my father? I think all of the ladies would be like, what? I'm just saying, y'all, like this was a dude that, like, I mean, he went for it, and he went for his wife. And what was taken from him, he went back and he took it back. What was taken from him and was said that, no, you're no longer married. He didn't say, she got a divorce or anything like that. Or, you know, I'm just going to go ahead and start my life somewhere else. But what was taken from him, he went back and got it. See, everybody else would be like, oh, she went ahead and got married. What am I supposed to do? No, he went back and got his wife. So, if y'all never read it, it's in Samuel. If y'all never read the story, read it, because I'm going to do some more Bible study tonight, because I want to know more of the tea. That's what y'all like to call it, the tea. I said, daggone it. This is scandalous at its best, for real. Like, really? Like, when you really think about it, your man just slaughtered all of these people and pulled back the foreskins. Like, what? Give me my wife. Saul was so pissed and was just like, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my daughter, and I know he love her. I'm going to take her, and I'm going to make sure that she marries somebody else, so he's no longer family. Too late. They already want flesh. Too late. He's already promised that. You can't stop what God has put together. What God has joined together, let no man put asunder. So going back to that last question, no. Not under the same roof, not under the same house. No, it's your covenant wife. He went back. And then, later on, of course, he made mistakes by sitting up here lusting after another woman that he saw, laying down with her, having sex with her, knocking her, getting her pregnant, and then trying to hide his sin by trying to make her husband lay with her, and he didn't. So he sent him in the front line to be killed. But he had a wife. Remember that. See we can even learn from King David. If you would have just stuck with your wife, if you would have stuck in it with the rules, the regulations, if you would have stayed in your lane, none of that other stuff would have happened, right? None of that other stuff would have came to. That's why the Bible is clearly here, and the Bible is here for us, so we can see what our forefathers went through, what our folks went through, how they had to repent so we don't do it. You know what I'm saying? I started thinking, and I'm like, Lord, is there any? I know there's an upright man. Job was an upright man. Job could have got rid of his wife that told him to just, why don't you lay down and die? Why don't you curse God and die? He could have got rid of her, but he was a very upright man. And I said to myself, is there any upright men out here, that are willing to say, no, that's mine, that's my wife, this is what God gave me, that's my covenant wife. And a lot of you don't like your first covenant wives because you've hardened your heart. The devil done put a blanket over your eyes that you started to hate your wife. You really hate your wife. You despise them like the devil despised you. I wouldn't even say that harsh, but you've hardened your heart. Especially, and the Lord talks about like what you have done to your wife, how you treated her so treacherously, how like the things that you've done. The Lord looks at that. Like, how can you say that you are a believer in Christ? How can you say that you are saved, holy, sanctified, speaking in tongues when you are clearly committing adultery? And you don't see, you have no compassion for your marriage. You don't think that God can blow breath into it and bring and revive it, because it's not dead. Marriages are not dead until one of you pass, then it's done. Then one of you can go and get remarried in the Lord. It's done. But as long as it's still alive, God is ready to use it. But some people, they harden their hearts. And wickedly, I've had family members talk about how it don't matter if they got great-great-grandchildren. If they don't know you, I'll be like, I don't know you, I'll disown you. But I'm like, but where does that come from? You've been doing that. That's why your son isn't married right now. That's why he's still as old as he is. He's not married. That's why he was married and it failed miserably because of his mother. That's why you see old men by themselves broken down with no wives. Because you didn't go after what's yours. You just walked away and said, I give up, I don't care. You harden your heart. You harden your heart. And when you ask the question, do you ever believe? Yes, I believe that God will reunite you with your wife. But how he gonna reunite you with your wife if you with another woman right now? Like you gotta come clean. It's like a druggie, right? You've been on drugs and stuff like that, but you want this job. How you gonna be able to perform if you always high and drugged out and passed out? You need to clean yourself up, don't you? You need to get yourself together. You need to clean yourself up. And then God will put you in the right place at the right time, at the right moment, so you can reconnect. I see women that talked about how they didn't know and now they regret. And I honestly believe like God is going to work. God is going to work. God is going to work on it. Just keep on praying. And even if that other person does not come back to the Lord. Because you got to understand, it's bigger than just coming back home to your wife and coming back home to your husband. It's salvation that's involved here. You know, it's salvation that's involved here. And so today I was looking at certain things on TV, and I realized like the breaking down of people marriages and separating them, and the devil put it in their mind, you will never be back with your wife. You will never be back with your husband. Don't even pray for him. Don't even think about him. Just think about this other person right here. Because the enemy, just like Saul, he does not want you to inherit what's yours. He doesn't want you. Could you imagine? I'm going to tell you like this. It's a lot of people that look at my situation and they're very skeptical. Why she still got on her wedding ring? Why does she even honor her husband? Why does she even talk? What if my husband came back? What if he came back? Do you know how many people would be like, it wouldn't even be like, oh, you know what I mean? People that are saved would be like, yeah. But a lot of people had their faces frown looking like the Grinch. They don't want to see nothing wrong. And to be honest with you, those who secretly, they really hate the covenant, and those who are in second marriages and believe that you can get remarried, they really don't want to see a covenant marriage come back together. Because if they see that, then they see God's hand in it. And if they see God's hand in it, then it would make them feel even worse for committing a sin by committing adultery. They don't want to see, it's like somebody who do drugs all the time. They don't want to see you get good and get cleaned up while they in the gutter and you sitting up there, you living good now. They don't want to see you, do good. So it's like crabs in a barrel. They want you down. And the enemy, the devil definitely don't want to see you what? Don't even think about going back to your wife. Don't even think about going back to your husband. He'll start whispering, remember they did this, remember they did that, remember they did this, remember they did that. And God clearly on the other end is saying forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. Some people got hearts like Herod, like I said. When somebody's telling you you're committing adultery, who the heck you think you are to tell me I'm committing adultery? I'm the king. Who do you think I am? You know what I'm saying? Like, who do you think you are? I'm the king. I can do whatever I want to do, but kings don't get past the gate. So how do you think you're going to get past the gate? And I'm going to tell you something. Married folks, true covenant married people, I'm not talking about people. If you in a second, third, fourth, fifth marriage, I ain't talking about y'all. I'm talking about the true covenant. Remember I told you, when you see married folks together, first time married people, it's very rare these days. It's very rare these days. And when you do see him, it's beautiful. And even if you're not together with your spouse, with your husband who's put you away, or your wife who's put you away and ran off, you secretly really pray for this married couple that they will finish the race. Because if 50-60% of people, the divorce rate is so high right now, you could imagine what they're dealing with. Some people may say, no, me and my spouse, we're going to go long, we're going to go hard, we're going to do this together, okay? But if the other one falls and say, you know what, then the other one has no choice but to go in it and pray for their spouse, that they will come back to the Lord. You need to understand this, that when a spouse leaves their husband or leave their wife, and what I mean by that, going and being a part of this world, because I know some people have to separate because of abuse and things like that. But if you leave and go marry another, you're not honoring God. You're not believing in God. You are anti-Christ. You can't possibly say, well, when you do that, you've hardened your heart. And the Bible clearly says that adulterers are not going to inherit the kingdom of God. So you got to make a choice here. Like, are you going to honor the covenant or not? Because remember, the covenant of marriage is a model of the covenant that God has with us. And if you can't honor that, then what are you doing? Like, You lying to yourself. You are literally lying to yourself. But going back to David and his wife, she could have easily said, I'm tired of him. I don't even want to be with him no more. Yes, Dad, kill him. She could have hardened her heart like everyone else. He in a room right here. You know what I'm saying? She could have snitched on him. Like, I'm gonna lower him down. Y'all meet him at the bottom. She could have did that, but she didn't do that. Wouldn't have been wonderful? Because a lot of divorces start because your BFF whispered in your ear. Somebody new on social media all up in your face. Your in-laws can't stand your wife, and they're waiting for you to get a divorce. I know for a simple fact, my father-in-law said, I know how I'm going to get her. We was all up in court, and I was fighting, and he knew that I loved my husband very much. And my father-in-law said, I know how I'm going to get her. Yeah, this is what he said. While we on the outside of the court office waiting to be seen, we gonna get some people. I'ma pay for it. We gonna get some people to serve my daughter-in-law. Yeah. How about that? Now, how you like them apples? How you like them apples? Now that my hope. But see, the thing is that if you've been following my videos, God already showed me a dream before my father, and just to tell me, Mona, you about to be served some divorce papers. God had already gave me a dream. Me and my husband was sitting at a bar, like something off of the Travins, a game that he played, and he gave me this paper. And you know what I did with the paper? And that's all it was. He gave me a bill of divorce. When he gave me this paper, I was so mad. I took the paper and I tore it up. I tore it up in my dream, and I woke up like, oh, God, please don't tell me about to serve me papers. So the Lord prepared me for what the evilness that my father-in-law and everybody had that they were going to do. You know, and I was just like, okay. But see, my father-in-law did so. Before I walked into court, guess who? Are you Ramona Hines? And y'all, the first thing I said is, no, I'm not. No, I'm not, because I knew it. And my father-in-law stood up. And the old attorney stood up. Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And they were trying to hand me the divorce, to be served for a bill of divorce. I didn't touch it. That the guy, he whipped out his camera. Let me tell you how God worked. When the bailiff whipped out his camera to take pictures of me, not the bailiff, but the guy who was trying to serve me, the server. The bailiff came out of nowhere. Y'all know who that is, the police officer in the court. And he grabbed that guy up and he hung. He just dragged. All you saw was the guy walking out. He was just holding the guy, like shoving him along the way. And he came to me while we were in court and said, do you know why that guy was in your face? I said, I don't know. I think he was trying to deliver me a paper. He said, well, he just got tried and was taken before a judge. Now get this. That guy got on trouble for trying to deliver me a bill of divorce. That he was taken before a judge because in the court you are not supposed to have a camera, and he was trying to take pictures of me, so he had to go before a judge. I said, wow. But my father-in-law was like, yeah, now I got you. Now I got you. And I thought I was defeated. Until the Lord said, Mona, you one flesh with your husband. And I was like, really? So the scriptures are true. And I don't like, you didn't get me. I didn't sign my bill of divorce. The only signatures on there is the judge, my husband, and I guess it would, well, not my father-in-law, but he was there. He was there. He was like, it reminded me of Saul. That's how some people are towards these covenant marriages. They don't want you to be together. They don't want you to go further than what they can do. They have to have control. Y'all, when I didn't even know why he was being hemmed up until later on. the bailiff came in, because they saw me in court over 50 times. I'd be like, hey, how's it going? And he came and he knelt down and he said, do you know that guy? I said, I don't know. I think he was trying to give me some paper. And they tried to go before the judge and say, we just served it. I said, no, they didn't, Your Honor. And I said, that's against the rules. You cannot do that in court. And the judge tried to say, well, I guess y'all can go outside. It's like you can see the corruptness. And I was just like, no, but for some odd reason, they still put it in as a serve, and it got pushed to the circuit court. So anyway, it's one of those things where people will go to the depths. Now, see, now you gave your wife a bill of divorce, and now I guess my father-in-law can say, now I want you to marry somebody else, because the truth is that he doesn't. It's that narcissistic control, and it's that much of a hatred for you. It's that much of a hatred for you, and I wonder too with King David and Saul. What if Saul didn't intervene in their marriage and stuff? Would you think that maybe David might have had an error of his own if he didn't do all of that, if he didn't kind of intervene in that? So that's what's going on in today. Like, that's what's going on with people's marriages now. I speak to a lot of my girlfriends, and they got in-laws from hell, mother-in-law from hell. Like, they not even like the mother-in-laws back in the day. Like, they are crazy, thinking that they married their sons. My mother-in-law was making fun of me when my husband wasn't himself. Oh, I thought it was your husband. I thought you wanted to do this to your husband. I'm like, he is my husband. Why are you doing all of that, though? Like, why are you talking to me like it's funny? It's not funny. Like, he could have really hurt something, and you like, but I thought that was your husband. Like, making fun of me. Like, making fun of the simple fact that my husband is not his self. It's like they were so happy to see my husband fall on his face. And I'm like, that's not him. And why aren't you letting me be his wife? Anyway, that's how people are. So when you see like what they were going through in their relationships back then, you see the controlling in-laws. Good evening. Be safe on the way. Just getting off from work, brother. But I mean, that's how people are. Instead of you coaching and saying, hey, look, y'all gonna come against this. Man, Saul was horrible. He was a king. He was trying to get him killed. He was trying to get in. There was times, I ain't gonna lie, I was like, man, if my father-in-law could do this, I hope he ain't trying to conjure up no snipers or anything like that, because that was how much hatred that this man had towards me. And I've heard from people who got in-laws who did some destructive things in their marriage. But one thing that David did, he went for his. He went for his. That's how you're supposed to stick it out. Go for yours. Go for yours. And in everything, I know his wife was talking something to him because he wasn't properly, she said he wasn't properly dressed. But he went for his. And Saul tried to take away his inheritance. He tried to take away his wife and his inheritance. And he was like, that ain't happening. That's not happening. David went back and what? So he gave him a task to do. Well, you got to slaughter these men. And he did it. And I haven't got that far to the guy who she was with was weeping. He can weep all he wants. That wasn't your wife in the first place. That wasn't your wife in the first place. Thank y'all so much. And you know what? I'm looking forward to, sometimes I say to myself, Lord, I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know what my husband is doing right now. Sometimes I find myself thinking about him. Sometimes, I still pray for him. I'm still praying for my marriage too. I still pray and ask God to heal our marriage and to intervene and to just, put God-fearing people around my husband. And see, that's another thing too. I know my father-in-law watches my videos. And I know he despises the simple fact that I still acknowledge my covenant marriage. He hates that. See, the Bible says this, that which you meant for evil, God will take it and turn it for good. Who would have thought at a million years I'll be sitting here front line about the importance of the covenant and of marriage? I never thought I would be here sitting up here talking to y'all about it. I never thought that I would be. And I'm going to tell you something. Somebody tried to mention, like, oh, in your ministry. And I'm like, what do you mean ministry? You mean life? I tell you one thing. If I had a ministry, it would be about the importance of the covenant marriage. Thank you. I hope one day my husband will say that. I hope he'll be like, babe, I'm so sorry. I'll be like, I'll forgive you, darling. Nah, but God, I think it was when God really showed me that it is a covenant. I mean, I had questions about it. And when God snatched me and showed me it's a covenant, I realized we've all been lied to. We've all been bamboozled. We've all been told these tales that it's not a covenant. We've been told you can get remarried. Now people are suffering because they're with people they're not supposed to be with. They want out. They realize they didn't cause something. They don't know what else to do. You got to pray and you got to let it go. You have to do the right thing, and it's to not commit adultery. Not commit adultery. And go for yours. Go for what. So even when we look at King David, and that's another example, his wife was committing adultery. She was committing adultery against her husband. He didn't divorce her. They took her away and tried to force her to marry somebody else. How do you force? And God says, what I joined together, let no man put asunder. That's why he was able to go back and get his wife and say, that's my wife. You know, and I really wish in this day that God would start raising some men and women of God, some true believers, that they will fight for their covenants, that they will stand for their covenants. And even if yours go apart and you are in your waiting and you're put away, just stand up for the covenant of marriages, because it could be 300 people. 600 people, 600 couples looking at this that are first time covenant marriages. We all have to be accountable for their marriage. Meaning, don't just say, okay, sister, you can go ahead and get remarried. Okay, brother, put your wife away, because that's all it is putting away. If my husband wanted to see where I was at, all he got to do is look on YouTube. I even thought about that the other day. I said, he don't even miss me that much, because if he did, all he had to do is look at YouTube. I'm always on it. I don't know. But anywho, y'all, I'm gonna read this story. I'm gonna do some Bible study on that, because that was a blessing to me. I was like, what? So he had a father-in-law that was evil, huh? I had one too, so let me stop. I forgave mine, though. I forgave him. No, we can't pick and choose who our in-laws are, but I will tell you, to the in-laws, if you call yourself a believer in Jesus Christ, you can't harden your heart or try to destroy someone's covenant or dictate what and to. And that's the reason why people are so messed up, because of their fathers and their mothers and their sisters and their friends and social media and trying to keep up with the Jones, that you forget that you're hurting the other person who is actually one with you. You don't even love yourself. So yeah, y'all. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, make sure y'all read make sure y'all read the scripture about David, because I know I'm gonna go in and do some Bible studying. Because I was like, what in the world? Wait a minute. So he killed all of them dudes. Took their what?